For me, I grew up in a very, gender neutral mindset. The cowgirl hat is real. My passion outside of the energy business is horses. And equestrian sports are the only sports in the Olympics where men and women compete against each other. And so I grew up, competing on an even playing field against men. And so I think I was, born and raised into an environment that reinforced that, hard work and determination can level any playing field.
We have the problem of reproductive rights. Business, energy leaders have these issues of, spacing their children. And what do you have to say?
Men should be concerned about when they have children and their ability to spend time with their children as well. That's what I would say.
And I'll add to that too. I think the most efficient and effective person I have ever seen is a new mom coming back to work. No one knows how to pack more into minutes of a day than a mom that's figured that out for herself at home.
And by the way, Michael had twins.
Yeah. There's some of us that prefer their kids with 4 legs. So I'm one of them. Usually the first thing I do is read my Bloomberg emails.
What's the lay of the land out there right now? Are you guys seeing some pretty decent deals, or is it...
We've really been looking hard at the remaining opportunity in the basin. We're trying to continue to invest, about $60 million a year for the next 2 years, or through at least 2023. We're just taking a relook at that because the powder's kind of strange in that, we've ran about 500,000 acres of title, so we've got a pretty good feeling of kind of the owners.
Yeah, what a cool view of Sheridan. We own over 13,000 net mineral acres of minerals in the Powder River Basin. So last year we were under, today we're going to go look at the rates. Last year we were under 67% of all the wells drilled in the Powder River Basin, which is a huge number. As a company, we, own interest in 4,000 wells across the country, in Texas, Ohio, West Virginia, Oklahoma, but Wyoming is our bread and butter. It's close to home. It's where we love to be, and Wyoming has great rock, and can compete with some areas of the Permian Basin or the Delaware Basin that you hear a lot about. A lot of our geology, especially in the Powder River Basin, is just as good as a lot of those well results in the Delaware. So the powder has been slower to play than these other basins. It's a federal play, so you need a BLM permit to drill anything in the Powder River Basin.
I can tell you that if they strike oil, it'll be the biggest thing that ever hit this state.
You know, big plays like in Appalachia, you hear about the pipeline constraints, you know, and how the basin can't grow and kind of just keep production flat because the pipelines are at, you know, max utilization rates. Where, you know, it's Wyoming, because of all the legacy oil and gas development, you know, we've got plenty of infrastructure, so that's not going to be an inhibitor. The other big thing is that the Powder River Basin is really taken up by a lot of these big operators, so EOG, Occidental, Continental, Devon. So you have a lot of these big guys with huge acreage positions, 400,000 acre, you know, 500,000 acre positions. And, you know, so there's not a lot of room for a little mom and pop or a smaller, you know, operator to come in and develop. And so these guys are just sitting on these huge positions, which is, you know, one of their last big runways for horizontal development. And they all have assets, you know, in the Permian Basin, which they're very focused on developing, you know, those wells right now, which, you know, have higher returns before they kind of shift and move to the Powder. So as an example, EOG is one of our favorite operators, has 3 rigs running in the Powder River Basin, but they've got 17 rigs running in the Permian. So we don't get as much love yet, but we will.
So we spent the morning flying over the core of the Powder River Basin, where a lot of the new drilling activity is taking place, and flew over several rigs that we actually have interests under. It's really fun to see, you know, because we spend, you know, most of our time in the office, you know, behind computers, behind spreadsheets, you know, looking at maps, you know, a lot of different software and technology that helps us, you know, see everything without actually having to go into the field. You know, we know that these pads, you know, are being developed, and this, you know, dirt is being moved around, you know, just on our computers. So it's, you know, we forget how much really goes into, you know, the drilling of a pad, and how many people that takes, how much organization and planning that all takes. And so it's really fun to get back out here and see all of that work being done. You know, Wyoming has very prolific oil and gas reserves, and, you know, the reason for that is because Wyoming was once what we call the Western Interior Seaway, which was a seaway that actually connected the Gulf all the way up north to the Arctic Ocean. And so Wyoming was completely covered in water starting about 100 million years ago all the way through 66 million years ago. And so, you know, all of our oil and gas reserves we have now are, you know, organic material that decomposed and has cooked at very high temperatures over the last millions of years. And, you know, that's what we're developing today, is bringing those hydrocarbons out of the ground, along with a lot of seawater. You know, I got to where I was at such a young age by being an individual outperformer, where you're trying to work harder than anybody else. You know, you're trying to prove that, you know, you're either, you know, smarter, can do the task better, you're more creative, you're more determined, whatever it is that helps you climb that ladder quicker as an individual. You know, it doesn't necessarily translate to good leadership when you have to be putting your teammates before you. And suddenly your focus shifts from, you know, how you can outshine other people to how you can make your team outshine everything else. And so Chris, I think, is a really good leader, and he's helped me with this because he's led a lot of companies. And so it's been nice, you know, having a business partner with that much experience and leading big teams and, you know, kind of coaching me and mentoring me along, because to me, yeah, what makes great leaders, trying to build a team, you know, that strengthens everybody else, and, you know, bringing people along, coaching people up. You know, when you're hiring in oil and gas, you know, the company has so many different personalities in it, you know, because geologists are so different than engineers, you know, that are so different than landmen, that are so different from the business development people. And how do you bring all those people together? There's not one thing that somebody in our team does that doesn't impact everybody else. And so finding someone that fits in that, you know, I don't know. Well, the truth is we use personality tests. But I don't know if I can say that. What's interesting is we've actually found two of our best employees. They both applied, you know, years apart, but they both applied for the office admin position. Because office admin, typically people think that they don't really need, you know, a bachelor's degree, you know, or associate's degree. And they test, you know, 10 out of 10 for some other position. You know, and didn't obviously test well for the office admin, you know, and then we go to them and say, you know, we actually have this other position open. You know, I know you haven't obviously considered it, but let me tell you about it because you tested really well. And then every time, you know, those people will say, wow, yeah, that position sounds right up my alley. I just didn't think I had the experience for it. I didn't think I had the education for it. You know, and we end up, you know, hiring those people on and they immediately excel at whatever that position is. And it also helps us to place people that have great potential, that, you know, are super smart but just didn't have the opportunities because they didn't go to college or they've never done this previously. You know, and that way, you know, we're able to hire locally and give people opportunities and, you know, career paths while also, you know, helping make our team that much stronger. So we came up to Sparrow Wigwam to take a company retreat for a day and a half. We've got a lot of new employees, so we thought it'd be fun to bring everybody up into the mountains out of service and really spend some time kind of, you know, rekindling our relationships as a team. Chris and I have been traveling a lot this year, and we now, in addition to Rockin' WW, we just took over management of 2 other large companies for a private equity sponsor. So we just finished up that transition. So we've staffed up, that's why we've got a lot of new employees that we've moved here from Oklahoma City, from Texas. You know, we've got some folks from West Virginia. So we kind of starting a new chapter, I guess, for Rockin' WW. You want to play a game of volleyball?
Let's play volleyball.
Like right now?
I said go for it right now.
Okay.
Whitney, I know you've got some insights to share here as well. And one of the things that that I remember from our conversations is how you think about building relationships. So tell us a bit about that and other practical advice for our audience.
You know, relationships have been hugely important in my career, and I've opened, you know, a lot of doors. And, you know, you don't know who's going to introduce you to that next person, you know, that's going to be that next mentor in your life, or, you know, connect you with that next relationship. Mentorship is huge. You know, I'm very lucky that my business partner is a very successful oilman far before, you know, he decided to partner with me. And so, you know, I kind of have a, you know, private leadership class 24/7. Chris has a pretty colorful career. He spent a lot of time overseas, working for big international companies.
I've been in the business for a long time. I came back to the States, you know, in around 2000 and started oil and gas companies. And so I'd been through several cycles. And in 2015, I started a new cycle and gearing up, we'll just call it XR04. That's about the same time I was introduced to Whitney. I've had several people tell me, if you ever get a chance, hire her. And so I always keep in touch with people like that.
Chris hired me in 2017 when we bought all of Lynn Energy's assets out of bankruptcy. It's in the Washakie Basin of south central Wyoming. So that was my first foray into Wyoming.
Whitney just immediately proved herself to be invaluable on the team. And I just kept feeding her more, not feeding, shoveling, more and more responsibility, and she kept grabbing it and doing better and better and better. And within a year, you know, we promoted her to vice president of land and regulatory, and she was running that part of the business, spending half the time in the field with my pumpers because she wanted to learn everything.
I was up pretty late, maybe midnight, working on emails and working on some unanticipated deadlines I have. I have to get some exhibits into the Oil and Gas Commission for a hearing that I was hoping we didn't have to go to. And so kind of put off making the exhibits because it really didn't seem like it was necessary to go to hearing, but looks like that's what's going to happen. So just trying to go in as best prepared as we can.
Whitney!
Hi! What are you doing this morning?
I'm just going to get the horses ready.
I know, what classes are you doing?
A meter 10s and a meter 20 and the welcome stage.
Alright, cool. Hi, Hill. Hey, do you have some coffee? I don't have any coffee. A little French press. Thank you. Been up since 5. Oh. Couldn't sleep again, so I just got up and started working. So I can end the day early.
Good.
What's the schedule for the day?
Sky isn't coming. Something happened to her husband. They're at the urgent care, and so Charlie's going to show Goat and Isabella. I think we're going to let Derek chill, and then you need to walk the course.
Okay.
You need to walk the course so you know where you're going.
Let me know if I'll be up there today.
She does her homework. She comes every chance she can, lunch or after work. Doesn't matter if it's 10 degrees or 95 degrees. She comes out and rides her horse and grooms him and gives him kisses and makes a friend with him, so that when she has to dig and he has to dig, they depend on each other. And there's not many people that do that. That's what's unique about her.
A lot of horses, if they don't have that relationship with the rider on their back, you go to ask for that, and instead of giving you more, they wilt and they look for a way out. One of the things that impresses me about her the most is that she knows how to read what's going on with her horse. When do we ask that horse to jump a bigger jump than she's ever jumped? When do we back way off and just go on a trail ride and tone things down? Her ego will step right out of it if it's more advantageous for her relationship with the horse, and then it's going to progress her at the next show. As trainers, you try like anything for your client and whoever you're coaching to find success, but it doesn't always turn out that way, and so if it doesn't, you regroup and replan, and she's the first person to just sit down and regroup and replan without the tears and the complaints and it's just focus.
When we rolled in to actually start XR05, that's when Whit actually came up with a tag-along business plan to draft behind the oil company to buy minerals in front of our own drill bit.
You know, I started talking to Chris about the minerals acquisition side, which was kind of taking off at the time. It hadn't really been a focused business model in Wyoming, you know, where rather than, you know, taking the leases and drilling the leases, you're actually investing and buying the mineral rights. We're the owner receiving, you know, royalty payments, which is a completely different model. And we just approached it the same way that we did on the drilling side and decided, you know, we weren't going to buy mineral rights anywhere that we wouldn't want to drill it ourselves. And so that's what we started in late 2018, went out raising money for it and started rocking WW Minerals. So we didn't really know anybody in Sheridan, but we decided Sheridan is where we wanted to be, both because the feedback we got from everyone that lived in Wyoming already, like in Casper, that Sheridan was the best option, and then started staffing up straight out of Sheridan. So we started with 3 original hires. Fast forward 3 years later, now we're up to about 23. You know, we own interests in over 800 horizontal wells in Wyoming. We're, you know, the biggest mineral owner in the Powder River Basin.
I think she's good at finding the best in anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think she really tries to to seek the best in the people that are around her and place them in roles that they're the strongest. And that she sees that in horses as well. To run a business like she does, you have to be accurate, you have to have a good plan, you have to have the fortitude to take risk.
Yeah, which risk you can
which is show jumping. It all parallels. I mean, there'll be times when we've walked classes with her and she'll be like, should I, is this over my head? And if we don't think it is, we send it out there. If we think she's right on the cusp and maybe it's a step for her to learn from, we send her out there.
Chopper will jump as well as I ride him. He's game to do whatever, you know, to the height he's comfortable at. I woke up in a panic and then was like, maybe I should go see if his legs are puffy. I was like, I'll wait until the sun's up. I have a lot of work to do tonight to finish these documents that have to be into the Women of Gas Commission by noon. To go to a hearing on Tuesday as soon as I get back. It's not what I was hoping for, but that's okay.
That has to be in, like, because that's normal hours. It has to be in there by Friday noon.
Yeah, the hearings are always on the second Tuesday of the month for the Oil and Gas Commission. And so your exhibits, any exhibits that you're trying to present in the hearing, have to be in the commission Friday at noon, so all the commissioners have time to review. It's kind of acts like a court hearing, just less legal fees. But, you know, both sides still have an attorney representing them. Luckily, I found one yesterday. One of my friends can coincidentally do it on this short notice. Otherwise, it would have just been me defending the company against another big oil company. But it just has to do with a lease. We had unleased minerals under a drilling unit they wanted to develop. And they came and they tried to give us what's called authorizations for expenditures, as if we were a partner in it. Rather than taking a lease from us, they just sent us a bill to pay our proportionate share of 3 wells. And so we said, no, you have to take a lease. And they never took a lease from us, and so we took our own lease to an entity. And they're trying to say that that lease is void because we took it to another Rockin' WW entity. Because they basically want to force pooler interest at a 16% royalty instead of paying the 25% royalty we just lease on ourselves. So.
Whitney's very last interview, scene 1, take 1.
Ever.
Not ever.
How long ago was it? That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
How long have we been shooting this film?
2 years.
Do you remember it being stressful?
I remember it being stressful because it really took us off guard, that situation. We ended up not having to go to hearing, and we were able to settle with the operator before it went to hearing. But, you know, we weren't necessarily on the losing side, but we didn't feel like we ended up as well as we should have. And so, you know, I think necessity breeds creativity. And with that, you know, we came up with a pretty solid business strategy of how in the future we were going to handle all of our unleased mineral interests and how we're going to be more proactive than reactive. And what that did is that kind of turned into its own segment of our business model, and it has been very successful for us. It's a strategy that we're continuing to implement, you know, at Rockin' WW and as well as with the new companies. These are our newbies. Yeah, Gunnar and John, our new buyers. Don't worry about it. You know, this industry is like figuring out a puzzle. It's just constant, you know, challenges and overcoming those and coming up with creative solutions to problems. What are you guys looking at without a screen?
We're talking about how we set up the wall tent.
We
can't really set up poles.
Is that McDonald's?
Yeah, close enough.
You should get a shot of Zach's kids' artwork. Okay, Esther. You know, in the past 2 years, we took over management of 6 companies. We just started a new company. We opened an office in Pittsburgh. We've grown, you know, quite drastically in a short time frame. So yeah, it's been a stressful
2 years, challenging 2 years, but you know, very fun nonetheless, and you wouldn't trade it for anything. I think since we started filming, I've been to about 20 horse shows with Chapo. And you know, we've continued to grow a relationship, and I've continued to grow with him. You know, he's been a great teacher and get more and more confident. And so we went to nationals in Vegas in November. I was excited to just have qualified, just happy to be there, and we ended up winning the biggest amateur class, which was the meter 35 Grand Prix, and then we ended up being reserve national champion of the whole division. So that was definitely a highlight of my horse career this far.
So why do you work so hard?
I was trying to think about this after you said it, because I was like, well, what is the end goal that keeps me moving? And what I came to realize is I don't think it's one end goal. I think it's just a passion for what I do in both horses and business, specific to the energy industry. You know, I enjoy doing those two things so much. I was born with a really odd level of motivation and determination. I mean, since I was little. This is my dad, who's our IT director.
We take the chartered snorkeling boat out, and as they do, they're carefully going through the safety instructions. And I'm listening intently, and I look around and I'm like, Whitney's missing. And I didn't know if I should alert my wife or not, but I looked off the boat about 25 yards out, and Whitney's already out there snorkeling. I guess she decided that the safety instructions were too boring, so she'd just go for it.
How old was I?
5.
So me, it's still pretty much me.
You know, I think that this business is extremely cyclic, always has been and always will be. And history continues to repeat itself. You are going to get thrown, you know, and when you're jumping horses or playing polo or whatever, you know, you're going to get thrown off the horse. You're going to get spun off, you know, and you got to get right back up and get on them and get going. You know, and that determination has served Whitney certainly well.